Teardrop. The series will take you through fictional episodes from the viewpoints of Trisha and Vikrant. Sometimes it's the same situation from their respective perspectives, and sometimes their shared journey. Chapter 12. Afraid of the Dark, Vikrant. Sunsets always set him brooding over things that depressed him. Darkness was the final nail on the coffin of depression. He had been a short, puny child. Always being teased about his short height, he never had the confidence that he would be able to defend himself if the monsters of the night were to attack. He never covered his face with the Bob the Builder bedsheet while sleeping for two reasons. His teacher had told him that it was not a good idea since it could cut the air supply, and more importantly, it became pitch black under the sheets. The fact that his grandmother weaved elaborate tales of ghosts to make her work easy of minding over him, his two siblings and three cousins did not help matters. One of his cousins was a tall for her age girl. She was elder to him by a few months. Comparing the height of the two children was a sport that the elders in the family loved to play. The little boy believed that he could fight the dark with height. The elders were taller than him and they were not scared of the dark. In fact, they partied harder once the sun went behind the hills. The elders never realized that being tall was all Vikrant asked for in all his prayers, and he prayed a lot. He prayed right before he got off the bed, before his meals, and just before he slept. As a teenager, he was denied permission to roam about the city at night like the other boys in the neighborhood. During the day, when he came face to face with them, he faced the taunts that are a general custom with the boys that age. The taunts did not hurt him much anymore. He was too good a kid to be mad at his parents. He channeled all his anger towards the night. He blamed the night for all his teenage miseries. As the years in the various forms he filled increased, so did his height. However, his hatred for the witching hours did not decrease and were extended to all things dark as age caught up with him. He did not like horror movies and his comic sense was devoid of the dark side. It was no surprise then that bitter chocolate did not make the cut with his taste buds. While most of his acquaintances loved a crispy toast buttered generously, he preferred a lightly buttered bread slice while he ran out of his healthy dose of muesli and milk, and also ran out of time in the morning to prepare a spread of English breakfast for himself. Looking into her dark eyes was a different ballgame altogether. As cliched as it sounded, his fears were laid to rest when he held her gaze. Holding her gaze was not an easy task. She talked animatedly, her head bobbing up and down and panning left and right in no fixed routine. Anyone who knew her would describe her eyes as black. A poet might say they were a shade of a moonless night when even the stars twinkled a little less. If Vikrant had to describe her eyes, night would not feature anywhere in the list of comparatives. For him, the twinkle in her eyes would be the central theme of the description. For him, the twinkles resided in the hearts of her eyes. Brighter than the sun, the twinkle could slay the darkness that resides in the hearts of the most depraved souls. The word twinkle had not crossed his lips or mind these many times since he was 3, and his parents had made him perform the poem to everyone they knew they wanted to know or did not know. He had also seen her breathe fire through those eyes of hers. The fire in her did not burn down civilizations. It just kept everyone in her surroundings warm. The ones who loved her flourished in the balmy breeze her aura provided. Those who were fortunate enough to be the objects of her affection basked in the sunshine that she emanated. Nights with her had been turbulent at the beginning of their relationship. He half expected her to transform into a giant brown troll or a slimy green slug at the sundown. He would be equally scared had she transformed into either of those options. Thankfully, nothing of this sort happened. As the sun would begin descending, she would be giggling during her experiments in the kitchen and he would sit looking at her amused. She watered her plants, occasionally talking to them, and he followed her trail, alternatively teasing her, pulling her cheeks, and appreciating her efforts. They ate dinner in front of the television, using the pause button heavily, as they took turns to regale each other with stories of the day, last week, last month, last several years, and past births. He would then amble slowly as he cleared the table and emptied the leftovers into the smaller containers and put them in the refrigerator. She, in the meantime, would be plopped on the couch, following him with her gaze, mischief dancing in her eyes. The pillow talk ranged from sweet nothings to heated arguments over politics, films, and work ethics. She slept almost instantly, almost as if a switch was installed at the back of her head that went off on a moment's notice. He tossed and turned, trying to find a sweet spot on the bed. He counted sheep like she taught him. When that did not work, he sat up, carefully trying his best not to disturb her, even though that was not necessary as she was a far cry away from a light sleeper. He would then try to read the book that lay upside down on her side of the bed. That, of course, did not hold his attention for long either. He would try to exhaust all his options before falling back on the trusted method of acquiring sleep. This happened more often than he would care to admit. He would slide back under the sheets and put an arm around her waist. She, as a natural instinct, would adjust her hips so that his pelvic spooned her curves perfectly. He would set his eyes on her nape, and soon his rhythm would match hers, and sleep would engulf him in its warm embrace. Night did not frighten him anymore, with her on his side.